Good evening, everybody. I'm Eric Galm. I'm chair of the music department at Trinity College, and I'd like to welcome you to the first Music Alumni Showcase series. This is our kickoff event, which is part of Trinity's virtual Long Walk series, and we plan to hold more events on the first Thursday in November and December at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tonight's event will be archived on YouTube. Just go to the Austin Arts Center Facebook page to find links, and there will be a link posted in the chat. If you're interested in possibly participating in a future event, or if you want to reach us directly, we have a brand new email that's music-alumni@trincol.edu. I'd like to give a big thanks to Alex Fishbein, Helder Mira, and the Trinity Department of Alumni Relations, and also especially alum Nicole Mudo-Graves. She is originally from Boxford, Mass, and is a singer-songwriter and music agent based in Chicago, Illinois. While at Trinity, she studied ethnomusicology with a focus in Trinidadian music after spending a semester on the island. She was also a member of the Trinity College Quirks, the Samba Ensemble, and the Steel Pan Ensemble. Upon graduating, Nicole moved to New York and began a career as an agent, opening Arc Artists, a boutique music booking agency with two colleagues in 2016. She moved to Chicago in 2018 and works directly with Arc Artists Chicago-based artists. In addition to her work as an agent, Nicole has freelanced as an assistant to artist Sunny Jane, as well as on-site in production and ticketing for events including the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, Pitchfork Music Festival, and Golden Voice Music Festivals, which also runs Coachella, Stagecoach, and Panorama. Nicole enjoys writing and performing music in Chicago and looks forward to returning to local venues when the city can safely reopen. So tonight, we're going to feature 5 recent alums from Trinity College who are pursuing careers and activities in the arts. I'll begin by reading a brief bio about each individual, then we'll see a video of their music. We will then have a conversation to learn about their experiences since graduating from Trinity. I invite you to submit questions which can be written in the chat section on Zoom. Our first presentation will be by Malibongwe Thwala, who graduated in 2017. Malibongwe Thwala is a Swati artist based in Hartford and New York. His style of music draws from jazz, hip hop, and R&B, and is heavily influenced by artists like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole. Malibongwe is a multi-instrumentalist that has been playing since first picking up a guitar in 2009. Since then, he's gone on to learn various other instruments as well as music production. His early music experience include performing twice for the King of Eswatini on marimbas and guitar, respectively. While in college, he founded and became the president of the African Choir and also served as music director for his a cappella group. From 2016 to 2017, Malibongwe worked with fellow alum and singer Brendan Serafino, also featured tonight, producing beats, playing guitar, and providing background vocals for several tracks and performances. Since graduating from Trinity in 2017 with a bachelor's degree in music, he has gone on to release multiple singles and an EP titled Love the Mixtape in 2018. Currently, Malibongwe has been honing his songwriting skills, increasing production, and experimenting with different sounds and styles. He hopes to captivate a broader audience using these creative and imitable techniques. Second up tonight, we have Mattea Sario, who graduated in 2017 as well. She's originally from Los Angeles, California, and graduated from Trinity in 2017 with a degree in international studies and a degree in music. During her 4 years at Trinity, she was part of the Trinity College Chapel Singers and the Trinity Pipes, both of which she had leadership roles in her junior and senior years. She was also a barista at the famed Underground Coffee House. 3 years post-grad, she is currently the assistant manager of events at a nonprofit ministry called Life Without Limbs, while still pursuing and working on music projects on the side. Off the clock, you can find Mattea at the beach, on a hike, or grabbing coffee with friends and serving on our church's worship team on Sunday mornings. Third, we have Steve Syz, who also graduated in 2017. He was born in New York City and spent his childhood abroad in Singapore and Sydney, Australia. He attended Trinity College in Hartford, yay, where he worked on his music production skills while pursuing a music major degree. Upon graduation, he focused on movie trailer music and started to write music for trailer music companies like Gothic Storm, Revolt Production Music, and Songs to Your Eyes. He was later hired as an in-house composer at Ghostwriter Music, but later pursued a more freelance life. He now works out of house as a custom trailer music composer with Ghostwriter Music. His music can be heard in trailers for some of Hollywood's most highly anticipated campaigns with Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal Pictures, Pixar, and more. He's now learning how to DJ and produce dance music on the side with hopes to one day DJ at a festival. Fourth, we have Malcom Moon, who graduated in 2015. He's a Georgia native and a New York transplant. He's a singer-songwriter who has developed a sound which he describes as Dream and B, 90s R&B pop melodies blanketed in atmospheric hip-hop leaning production to heighten the emotion of his narrative. During his time at Trinity, he was avidly involved in both musical theater and straight play productions, including Louis Aronson in Angels in America, Jack in Into the Woods, and Jim Conley in Parade. He was also a member of the Trinity College Accidentals a cappella group. During his sophomore year, he studied away at the Trinity La Mama program in New York City, where he was immersed into the downtown New York performance scene under the tutelage of various artists such as Pablo Vela and Grace Kiley. Currently, he's working in social media marketing and continuing to pursue his music and acting career. His debut EP, Conversations in My Driveway, is available on all major streaming platforms. And finally, we have Brandon Serafino, who graduated in 2014. He's a singer-songwriter-producer based in Hartford, Connecticut, whose soaring vocal arrangements pair with hazy electronic production, creating a vibrant and soulful soundtrack for millennial restlessness. His unique blend of pop, R&B, and world beats have contributed to a sonic landscape all his own. His reflective songwriting pairs with danceable grooves that are sure to tap into both the mind and the body. All right, so we are going to move on to seeing some works of art by each of these artists here. And so, without further ado, should all work here. Let's see, bam, enjoy.
In the bones of death, of life, and I'm good now. I've been gone so long to change, to begin to myself, and I'm good now. Coming into this life, give it room, but it can be you and the boys now. Stay true to yourself, give it right to the real, don't let them bring you down. I was spending too long trying to find something that's always been within. Spending so much time on the answer, self-reflection, honesty. I guess I need to take a step and figure all it out. Just to learn to stay true to self. Stay true to self now. Stay true to self now. Stay true to self now. Don't let them bring you down. Stay true to self now. Stay true to self now. Stay true to self now. Don't let them change you now. Yeah, be the person you believe will make you happy when you're looking back at life. Most of people living life and looking back at missed opportunities. Thinking about it now will make you think about it later on. Why don't you change your life? Talk to me about it. Maybe we connect, we'll share with and experiences. Listen to your voice and listen to your heart, and maybe you can act find some frequencies about your persona, had a deep but never kindly got. Then you won't be pressed to keep denying you till you be you the sacrifice. I'm talking about sacrifice. You don't have to sacrifice. Stay true to self now. Stay true to self now. Stay true to self now. Don't let them bring you down. Stay true to self now. Stay true to self now. Stay true to self now. Don't let them change you now. Don't you come here with a yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't you come here with a yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't you come here with a yeah, yeah, yeah. Done got no time for fake vibes. Don't let them come here with a yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't let them come here with a yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't let them come here with a yeah, yeah, yeah. Stay true to self now. Don't let them tell you how to live your life. Don't let them be the ones to break your mind. Don't let them tell you how to live your life. But that was with you in the deepest night. Don't let them tell you how to live your life. Don't let them be the ones to break your mind. Don't let them tell you how to live your life. But that was with you in the deepest night.
You don't know, babe, when you hold me and kiss me slowly, it's the sweetest thing, and it don't change. If I had it my way, you would know that you are. You're the coffee that I need in the morning. You're my sunshine in the rain when it's pouring. Won't you give yourself to me? Give it all. I just wanna see. I just wanna see how beautiful you are. You know that I see it. I know you're a star. Where you go, I'll follow, no matter how far. If life is a movie, oh, you're the best part. Oh, you're the best part. Oh, best part. It's the sunrise and those brown eyes, yeah. You're the one that I deserve. When we wake up and then we make love, it makes me feel so nice. You're my water when I'm stuck in a desert. You're the Tylenol I take when my head hurts. You're the sunshine on my life. I just wanna see how beautiful you are. You know that I see it. I know you're a star. Where you go, I'll follow, no matter how far. If life is a movie, oh, you're the best part. Oh, you're the best part. Oh.
What does Juanito mean?
It means little dream.
That's it? No story?
All right, everybody sit down. It's a story of a block that was disappearing. In un barrio called Washington Heights, these streets were made of music. I am Usnavi, and you probably never heard my name. Reports of my fame are greatly exaggerated. Morning, Usnavi. Pan caliente, café con leche.
On these blocks, you can't walk 2 steps without bumping into someone's big plan.
I'm making moves, I'm making deals, but guess what? What? You still ain't got no skills. I was saving up all my pennies in my piggy bank for this day.
This is going to be an emotional roller coaster. The odds are against you.
But there's a chance, right? A dream isn't some sparkly diamond. There's no shortcuts. Sometimes it's rough. On the street, like choking on the heat. The world spins around while I'm frozen to my seat.
You're talking about kicking out all the dreamers.
But every day is different, so
It's time to make some noise.
We had to assert our dignity in small ways.
Shh. Just listen.
Little details that tell the world we are not invisible.
Ignore anyone who doubts you.
We came to work and to live, and we got a lot in common. DR, we are non-stop. Every day, until the day we go from poverty to stock up. The days that we got, so we cannot stop. This is our block. Heights. It's all a blur. I don't wanna be alone. So sick of waiting by this damn phone. You got me on standby, knowing I'm this kind of guy to be sweating you, But lately I feel like half a minute it's 'cause of you. What you got me thinking? Do I ever cross your mind? Where do we draw the line? Do you know the reason why I can't get over you? Do you ever think that I'd find you in another life? Maybe give another try. I can't get over you. And my feelings are red. All the words unsaid running through my head. Do you ever wanna find the man I buried deep inside? What are we gonna do? I need someone to fill this void. All these things I can't avoid. Anxiety's on overload. Emotions are about to explode. And God knows that I'm terrified. We're 90 and a 45, searching for what I gotta hide. I think I reached the borderline. Yo, you're damned if you're beautiful, damned if you're poor, damned if you wanted just a little bit more. I beg for forbidden fruit 'cause I wanted to explore all your deep desires lying on the bedroom floor. But something's missing, your attention, and my body's feeling naughty. Got me thirsty for the taste of your touch. Man, I think I drank too much. Do I ever cross your line? Where do we draw the line? Do you know the reason why I can't get over you? Do you ever think that I'd find you in another life? Maybe give another try. I can't get over you. And my feelings are red. All the words unsaid running through my head. Do you ever wanna find one that I deep inside? So how we gonna Where are you? Hello? Can you hear me? I'm sick of feeling lonely. I don't want to be alone.
Saw you sitting on your own, so lot of confidence to walk in solo. It was only for a moment. Stole a glance, that's a damn good on. The truth is, I noticed you're grabbing my focus, thinking about rolling. Need your mind on me, but the way you walk past me, gonna make me spill my drink. In your eyes, I see your pain. Didn't get your name, but it was perfect timing. Can you hear me like that? We spoke in silence as I watch you move. 'Cause it was perfect timing. Can you hear me like that? We spoke in silence as I watch you move. 'Cause it was perfect timing. El tiempo, baby, en verdad que fue perfecto. Me di de cuenta desde aquel momento que me miraste aunque te quedaste en silencio. Dice un dicho, la palabra se la lleva el viento. The way you walk past me, me cruzó, spilled my drink, me enamoró, see your pain. El tiempo fue perfecto, 'cause it was perfect timing. Can you hear me like that? We spoke in silence as I watch you move. 'Cause it was perfect timing. Can you hear me like that? We spoke in silence as I watch you move. 'Cause it was perfect timing. Y me gustó y rápido me acercó. El tiempo con esa bebé perfecto. Qué rico fuera si yo se lo mi culpa de por sí yo soy fresco. Pero yo perfecto ser el tiempo. Quiero convertirte en mi pasatiempo. Ser parte de tu vida y de cada encuentro. Bailar contigo este ritmo lento, baby. Can you hear me like that? We spoke in silence as I watch you move. 'Cause it was perfect timing. Can you hear me like that? We spoke in silence as I watch you move. 'Cause it was perfect timing. Dímelo, Brando, se me fía. Te sientas el ritmo solo. Dímelo, Zach Golden. Tú eres loco. Nos fuimos lejos.
All right. Excuse me. All right. Well, thank you to everybody for submitting their pieces. And actually, I have a few questions for you, and we even have a question in the chat already. So so this is not a question I gave you ahead of time. So just to keep you on your toes. But I wanted to give each of you a little bit of an opportunity just to speak a little bit about what we just saw, and then we'll move into a couple other questions. So we'll start with Molly, and you know, we don't have to go into, you know, like your experiences since school. We'll get to that, but just speaking about the video, you know, wondering how you went about making it, what was your message that you wanted to convey in the video, and just shout out that I noticed that you featured our new practice rooms in the Groose Music Center. So so props for that, right?
Yeah. Well, it's been a while since I wrote the song. but the main message is just staying true to yourself, and like regardless of what you go through, like I guess I went like throughout my experience at Trinity, I went through like finding my own identity and stuff, and like I wanted to put like especially my trip to Trinidad, like that experience like kind of just helped me find the person I want to be like as an adult. So just like that song was more of a message to me and other people like me, I guess, who are going through the same thing. It's just like staying true to yourself and like finding your true self, and like regardless of what happens around you, it's just like being strong in that identity that you choose, that identity that you find.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. And Mattea, actually, it was interesting. So I remember that you did a lot of arranging for the a cappella groups, and I was just wondering if you arranged that piece, and then also just what were you trying to convey with that?
Yeah, so Closet Sessions is actually something birthed out of COVID. Thanks, COVID. Unlike all of our other panelists, I don't work in the music industry, and so I definitely needed a creative outlet to keep that going. And there's something different about like playing guitar, playing piano in my room for myself or with my roommates, and then actually giving myself like, okay, I'm gonna actually arrange something, I'm gonna record something, dust off the pipes of arranging and recording. And yeah, I had this little nifty little closet that no one can interrupt me in because again, COVID, we're all working from home and I still live with my parents. We have 2 girls that rent from us. And so our house is super busy, and just finding really that space to be creative is really what Closet Sessions was birthed out of.
Okay. Yeah, my son had hooked up a kind of a recording booth in his closet, and he found the perfect arrangement between the shirts and the pants, and putting the mic in the right spot.
It's perfect for like condensing sound. It's incredible. If you haven't tried it, go sing in your closet.
Cool. And Steve, about your piece, I was really interested in the challenges of you know, creating a musical soundtrack when you have to weave it in and out of pre-recorded music, that you know, to create the space for that trailer. You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, pretty much my job is to get like take original soundtracks and overlay my own stuff onto it to make it bigger, so that the trailer pops and stuff. Challenges, I guess it would be deadlines. Yeah, like these things can it can be the next day, the next morning, so you'll be like working through the night, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
And so really your job is to make musical connective tissue to seamlessly weave together different sounds of different, you know, sound environments to make it all sound like one single thing, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's basically I have to give a product to the editor to play with, and then the editor will take parts of the music and put it with the video so that it flows better. My job is basically just to make sure everything's just big and nice, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And just another quick question, then we'll move on. But I'm thinking, like, do they give you the whole movie to watch, or do they just give you small snippets and say, focus on these?
Oh, we never get to watch the movie, or we don't even get like videos. All we get is like a maybe 2 or 3 sentence brief of what they want, and then we just have to work off that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you can't tell us whether the movies are good or.
Yeah, I can't.
Okay. And actually, Malcolm and Brandon, both of you, you know, I sense a lot of kind of cross rhythms in your work, you know, and maybe, you know, you can talk about the message of your piece, but just also maybe what has influenced or inspired your use of, kind of cutting across the grain with a few different rhythmic influences.
Malcolm, you want to take it first, or you want
Brandon, you can go first.
Yeah, so that one, Perfect Timing, I co-produced that primarily with my two main collaborators, Zulu and Zach Golden, who's based out of Universal Music, who, funny enough, produced for Anthony Ramos, who's in the trailer for Steven's film as well, which is pretty cool. Anthony's dope. And yeah, I think with that song, it was influenced heavily by, we had a lot of, that Latin kind of syncopated chord progression that we started off with, and then we just found some rhythms to lay over that. I did a lot of the drums with my friend Zulu, who always brings that kind of Caribbean flair. He's Jamaican, and a lot of the music he works on is either dancehall, reggae, soca inspired. So we crossed that up. That song's more of a fun song. That's not one of my deeper, more meaningful, political messages or anything like that. It's just a fun dance song, love song, kind of two people meet eyes and the rest is history type of vibe. We were just feeling that when those chord progressions hit, that kind of sexy Latin inspired vibes. So that was about 1.5 years ago. But yeah, those are the primary people I work with, and the three of us still always use the cross rhythms, and obviously influenced by my time in Brazil and the stuff I've done with you, Professor Galm, as well. So yeah, sure.
Great. And Malcolm?
Yeah, with my song Insecure, I worked with a producer based in Brooklyn. His name is Chris Lavella, and he pretty much handled a lot of the production side. I just came in and I knew I wanted jazz chords, and I'm heavily influenced by 90s R&B and hip hop. So I was listening to a lot of Brandy vocals when I was recording this, and really just playing around with harmonies and stacking vocal layers. And I think that with the rhythmic changes add a lot of texture to it. Message-wise, it's a song about, our insecurities. I put it through the guise of a relationship so that it's easier to kind of digest, but really it deals a lot with like my sexuality. So at Trinity, I wasn't very out and very open. And as I got older and more comfortable with myself, I was like, I really want to talk about my point of view, how I've always felt in situations. And I'm sure other students, other people have felt the same way. So it was fun and kind of scary to do that, but I think it paid off.
Great. Great. Well, thank you all for that first, unplanned series of pop questions. But I am curious as to, what is kind of, maybe if each of you could speak briefly about what has been your experiences and trajectory of trying to, basically after Trinity, what have you done? What has been your path? And, because I do know that when you graduate, you have to get a job that pays, and the arts don't necessarily provide that income to meet the needs. And I know that from personal experience. I worked as after I graduated, from my undergrad, I worked for many years as a customer service rep for Fidelity Investments, and so you find those ways to pay the rent and then keep your artistic ideas going. It may not be as fast as you planned, but I'm just curious, in just these few years, what have your experiences been like? So you want to share with that, Molly?
So like how I survived after Trinity, essentially?
Yeah, so like you graduated and you want to go be an artist. How do you pay the bills?
First, I don't know. Like I just saved up, like in college. Like I just saved. Like, I just worked multiple jobs and I saved up because I knew like after graduation was not gonna be easy. And like, although I'm mostly a producer and artist, but I made most of my money from gigs, like playing gigs, which is like problematic right now. But like we'll get to that later. So it's just like pushing your craft and knowing how to support yourself, I guess. And I had that backing, and I had a lot of friends, like for when I needed a place to stay, like would be like, oh, you can crash on my couch for a couple of months or a couple of weeks or whatever. And that just like jumping from one place to another and just like, I don't know, those savings really saved me, I guess. Yeah.
So it's kind of like traveling couches and just going from one step to the next.
Yeah, it's like, it's really tough because like you can't really know what the future has in store, but it's just like you keep doing it because it's what you love, and like as long as you can have a place to stay the next day or a place, something to eat, then you're fine to keep doing what you want to do.
Okay, cool. Mattea?
Yeah, so I didn't have a job when I graduated from Trinity, and my parents loved that. Also, trying to have those conversations with them about wanting to do music, I think for me personally was really difficult because, like you said, it's not just starting out wanting to do music. People have this like, oh, well, you're either supposed to be a pop star to make millions of dollars or you're not really going to make anything. And so trying to wrap my head around those conversations with my family first and really just being like, okay, no, this is really what I want to do. And if I have to work my butt off to do it, then I'm going to. And then I guess similar to Molly, I think I had maybe like 3 or 4 different jobs until I ended up at the job that I'm at now. And I think the one thing that I've learned, I guess the past couple of months, is the importance of a network. I think for so long after I graduated Trinity, I was like, okay, well, I want to do music, but I didn't have anybody to like write songs with or learn how to produce from. And so I was getting frustrated, but I hadn't really like gone out of my comfort zone to talk with people or like DM people on Instagram and just be like, hey, let me work with you. Let me at least like learn from you and just kind of sit in on your process. And so that's kind of what I've learned the past couple of months. Really what I've been doing is just like, hey, let's get together, let's write, or let's like, you have a song, let's see what we can come up with. Sending stuff to people, just kind of getting an idea of like taking what I have as a song, but then also seeing what they can come up with also, and just building relationships so that when the time comes to release something, like I have a good network of people that's going to help me produce it and help me launch it and help me all of the things within the music industry. And so, yeah, similar to Molly, like saving up is that, and a network is probably the most important thing from the past like 3 years that I've been out of Trinity. That's been really important for me.
Great. And Steve?
Yeah, so like after graduation, I moved down to DC, and then I just got a job at the movie theater, and I sold popcorn. But after work, you do music, and then you just keep working at your craft, and then just like Mattea was saying, it's all about networking. Pretty much, what I did was like I started friending people on Facebook who are like in the trailer industry, and then I messaged them and I was like, oh, this is my music. How could I improve? How do I get my music into movie stuff? And then by then you start like like all your friends are like in the same like same industry world, and then you kind of from there you just kind of ask people like, are there any opportunities I can do? And then that's pretty much how I got picked up by Ghostwriter, and then just a simple Facebook message, and then that's how I moved to California, and then I'm back now. But yeah.
Cool. And Malcolm?
Yeah, so after graduating from Trinity, I went home for like 3 months and realized I was like, I just want to make music and act and just create art. So immediately got an unpaid internship in New York, and those first couple of months were rough. I was definitely hustling. I was working an internship. I was working at a coffee shop. I was working at a taco bar in Grand Central. And really, it's all about just like keeping up the hustle. Like there'll be moments where it kind of sucks, but then that internship turned into a full-time job. I was able to network with people in the theater industry, transitioned into marketing for a classical music production company where I am now, started to network with music industry people. And I think, again, just bouncing off of what Steve and Mattea said, it's a lot of like finding a network, being brave to reach out to people, and using kind of like your social setting to your advantage. Like I met all my producers at parties in New York and literally just struck up a conversation. They gave me their business card and we started working. So definitely agree that you should put yourself out there and don't be afraid to hear no, because you're going to hear no a lot along the way, but you'll find the people that say yes and they're down in the trenches with you hustling and they're like, let's do this. And those are the people that you create art with and build yourself up with.
Cool. And Brandon?
Similar to everybody, I mean, it's been about 6 years now since I graduated, and I've worked every job under the sun in that time, both full-time and part-time, in New York City and back here in Hartford. I lived in New York for a little while, worked full-time, and was burnt out without much ability to work on music on the side. So I found what worked best for me was taking a lot of part-time jobs, and I had saved some money as well, and then pairing the part-time work with more flexibility to work on music in my spare time. I will say a big development for me and advice for anybody, as hard as this may be, is to find a team of people that support your vision, both artistically and what you're trying to do. And I know that can be hard. And after 6 years of college, after 6 years after college, only in the last year and a half have I found a group of people that help manage the artistic career and help me with the business side of things, and just people to bounce ideas off of, because I know it's a lonely road to do the art thing and the music thing by yourself. And you can get caught in your own head and in your own doubt. And it's really good to have second opinions. I think musicians struggle with that. They really are tied to their art, which is great. So I signed a management deal last year for the first time, and it was a little scary to compromise on that, but I'm glad I did. And I've been working with them. They're called Major Stage out of New York City. And that really helped my ability to balance my work life and have some assistance with some of the things I needed help with. And it's been a game changer to just have that support, not even financially, just artistically and vision wise and connections and things like that. So find people that help you, whether it's your friends that can manage you or help you do videos, photos, things like that.
Yeah.
A group of people around you. Yeah.
So great, thank you. So we're going to jump to our first question from the chat, and so this is a bonus question for you all. And so somebody's wanting to know, what approaches have you taken to improving your musical? They say musical self-improvement, but what have you done kind of after school to keep building and developing your musical skills? So I can leave it open as to who wants to jump in. The lightning round.
I'll start.
Okay.
I would say for me, it's doing it every day, either like singing and playing piano or trying to write like a poem or a verse and a chorus of something, or just writing in general. I would say like building that routine of setting aside time to develop your skill, pretty much whatever it might be. I think also, and we kind of touched on this on the last question, asking people for their critique and being okay with their responses. Like I had sent some music over to a couple of friends, Malcolm included, and it was awesome. Like, of course, there are things that you don't want to hear from people. They're like, oh, I don't really like this. And you're like, oh, damn it. But then also hearing their creative insight, because they're going to hear something completely different. But yeah, I think those are the two things for me personally, is really just setting aside time to develop my skill, develop my craft. I think one thing that's really difficult for me is trying new things. One of the closet sessions I had done, I tried to do beats, and it was really bad. I mean, people probably thought it was good, but for me, because I'm not, I don't create beats, I don't really know how to do that. And so I literally was just sitting in front of my computer like, I think that sounds good. I'm not really quite sure, but I tried it. And so, yeah, I think those are my three personally: setting aside time to develop your craft, not having high expectations for that either. If it's just 15 minutes and you write down 2 lines, or you play for just 15 minutes, or an hour, depending on if you have the time. Trying new things and then sending your stuff to friends, to family, specifically people who aren't musical too, to have their input, who won't know that you had a minor 7th chord in the chorus, like the second line of the chorus. They won't know that. So yeah, those are my 3.
Okay. Anybody else want to jump in?
I can go.
Okay.
I guess I have 2 things. First one would be that every time you create a piece of music, I would say like understand what you don't like about it, and then do better the next one, and just keep improving. And then with each piece of music that you make, just try to do something better than you did on the last one. And the second one would be feedback is everything. Like what I do for the dance music that I'm doing right now, because I know it's not that good. I'm going on Twitch, which is like a live stream website, and then there's some music feedback streams that you can like jump into and then be like, okay, here's my music. Give me some feedback and tell me what you think. And yeah, this guy's a total stranger, so he'll give you what he thinks about it, and then you just improve and stuff. Yeah.
Good. Anybody else want to respond to that one?
Jump in. I kind of will reiterate a couple things that Steve and Mattea have already said. My top 3 things, I think one is just like Mattea and Steve said, like practice. Set aside time, practice at least like, every point of the day. And within that practice, it doesn't have to be the traditional setting of just doing scales or like singing a song that you love already, you already know the words to, but practicing like your vocal range. It can be, I've really gotten into like TikTok, for example, going on TikTok and doing like some of the singing challenges. Like you'll see a lot of talented young creators there who create videos and they're like, oh, harmonize on this melody. And I will do that. We'll learn the song. I'm like, okay, because that's something that I want to improve on. And I love hearing different vocal layers. So that's one. 2, I have a rule when it comes to songwriting, which is my biggest passion. Don't erase. And what that means is like, whenever you have an idea, write it down. Even if you think it sucks and you're like, this is never going anywhere, write it down. A lot of my songs for my EP are like puzzle pieces of like, I wrote this lyric this day and I'm gonna piece it with this, because you never know. Sometimes you'll be working on something, you're in a session and you're like, oh, this line actually works perfect with this melody. So don't erase. And then thirdly, again, feedback. I live with a fellow music major who hears me sing all the time, and he has no qualms telling me if I'm flat. He has perfect pitch, so he'll be like, that was flat, that was a little sharp, that was this. And I appreciate it. There's times when he tries it, but I appreciate it. So he's laughing right now. Those are my biggest pieces of advice.
Great. Any others?
Yeah, I had one thing that reminded me, both what Malcolm and Steve were saying. I would just, along with feedback, just remain open to influences. I think some artists, from my perspective, and I've done it myself as well over the years, is you get married to a sound or an idea of what your music should sound like or what direction you should be taking your craft. And I think, especially with access to so much music online and so many influences and ability to search through music and other artists and inspiration, just stay open to that. I think it can be really beneficial to creating your sound and developing, is to just keep an open mind and heart towards other music and other types of artists that maybe exist outside your genre or outside your lane, and allow that to influence you as well. Don't think that you're just trying to be a pop singer or an R&B singer or, create a specific lane of music. That's great. And that's all well and good, but I think it's really important to keep yourself open to all types of influences. It's going to come out in your music more, and, create a more unique sound for yourself. So yeah, just stay searching.
Okay, so I'm gonna, now we're into the bonus lightning round. So I'm gonna give you each of you a 2-part question. And this may be kind of our last big thing, but also if you're watching us, if you have a question, please put it in the chat, and we'll just, we'll also try to capture this and find a way to give feedback beyond our time tonight. But I want to ask you a 2-part question. One is, if you can think of, each of you think of one thing that you learned at Trinity that's helped you in your life beyond college. And the second part is, do you have any advice for people who are in school now about how they prepare for their next steps beyond college?
I'll go first on that one.
Okay.
For me, it was just like learning where your resources are and like who can help you, and like being able to take advantage of that. Like I know personally, I did a lot of that with the music department, like getting permission to play drums for like my first semester. I didn't even take lessons, but like you were there to provide that, and like that helped me like improve that skill. So just knowing like which doors are open for you, and like not everyone will tell you that that door's open, so you just gotta keep searching, like whatever it is. But on top of that, more importantly, is like knowing how to be independent. Like not everyone is going to help you when you need that help, and like when those times come, you gotta know how to be independent. And like going back to what I think Mattea was the first one to say it, like building your network and knowing like who you can, like you do have access to it. That's why it's important in college to like make a lot of friends, like make genuine friendships with people. Like it doesn't really matter whether they're in your industry or not, because you may never know what opportunities they can give you. So it's just like, yeah, I answered both part of the question.
Okay, great.
The question was what I learned, and then part two of that was
advice you have for today's Trinity students for thinking about next steps.
I think one thing that I learned that I have a love-hate relationship with, because I'm such a creature of habit and routine, and I like to stay to my like already planned schedule. One thing that I loved being at Trinity that I miss every single day is like texting literally all of these people that are on this call, being like, hey, do you wanna just like jam just for like a little bit, whether it was like 10 at night after chapel singers, or even like 2 a.m, and just everybody being so eager to want to create and want to sing and just hang out. And during like post-grad life, I think we get so caught up in like, oh, I have work in the morning, or like I have all these meetings that I need to get to. But I've never regretted staying out late with friends, creating music on a work night ever in my life. Like, yes, I've been so tired the next day, but having the relationship with those friends, but also the music that we created through that, I've always been grateful for. And so that's something that I have a love-hate relationship with, but every single time that I do it, I love it. And then I guess advice would be, I don't know, don't be so hard on yourself. Like, I think that's like, everybody says a great amount of stuff already. But I think for me personally, if I had somebody tell me in college, don't be so hard on yourself, just create because you love to create and you're going to enjoy it, I think that would have been so helpful, especially coming out of college, again, because having those conversations with my friends and family, not having a job, still wanting to pursue music, like have fun with it. Again, build your network, not just in your industry, like Molly said, but just your relationships of friends and people that can help you and help inspire you. Like my 2 roommates that live with me and my parents, they know nothing about music. But then when I show them lyrics that I've written, and then they just like drop amazing 2-3 liners that rhyme and that are like so much more eloquent than I could ever come up with. I'm like, are you kidding me? I spent 4 years of my life studying for this, and you can just come out of your room and be like, oh yeah, this rhymes with that, and then like this is how I feel about it. But yeah, don't be too hard on yourself. Like have fun with it. If it's really what you love to do and it's your passion, don't let expectations and criticism stop you from doing that. Yeah.
Great. Steve, you want to?
Yeah, so for my time at Trinity, definitely delve into the classes that they have. Like composition class, I learned a lot about music theory. And then especially world classes, I apply what I learned into my trailer music, especially when I get like a ethnic trailer brief or something. As for advice going on afterwards, I would set like a very specific goal of where you want your music to be, and then on the way there, just set really small goals until you get to where you want to be, and that's how you progress and stay motivated, pretty much.
Great.
And I'd say ask for feedback as well, and take criticism to your music if people ever do, and work and learn from it. Yeah.
Cool. Malcolm?
What I learned at Trinity while I was there, I think the biggest thing I learned is don't be afraid to break the mold. A lot of times we get set in a certain like path and a certain like tradition that's kind of set upon us. And mainly I'm thinking about my music thesis. I completely kind of did something completely different, wrote original songs, had choreography, dancers. Molly and Mattea sang in songs and played in it. And that pretty much set me up for my music career because I wrote those songs from scratch, collaborated with other musicians at Trinity. And I remember like a lot of my professors were like, what are you doing? We haven't done this in like forever. But I'm glad I did it. I have no regrets. I'm like, and I love that pressure that was put on me. So don't be afraid to, if you have a crazy idea, do it. Trinity College, that's a place to do it. Beyond college, my biggest piece of advice is doors will open and sometimes they don't lead to music, and don't be afraid to take that door. A lot of my professional work experience hasn't been like, you know, in the industry of music that I wanted to do, or even in the music industry. But I met people through those doors that either helped me hone my craft or taught me more about myself, like, oh, I'm gonna do this now. So don't be afraid of those opportunities. It may not lead to music, but if it's your passion, you'll find a way back to it.
Great. And Brandon?
Sure. Two things that come to mind during my time at Trinity specifically is it's where I really learned the power of collaboration in music, and the power of community and collaboration for the first time between a cappella group, playing with samba ensemble, being in shows. Just that it was a lot easier for me personally, and this may not be for everybody, but music is not in a vacuum, and I learned that more through Trinity than anywhere. I struggled to just write by myself or create or be inspired by myself, and at Trinity I was surrounded by other people in one of my performance groups or in classes that really inspired me to create on my own, and having those people around and bouncing ideas off each other and jamming with people like Mattea said, or just being in an a cappella group at rehearsal and coming up with arrangements. The power of collaboration was super huge for me. And I took that after I graduated too, and I'm always looking to work with other people. And then in addition, after I graduated, I think one thing that took me a few years to learn, but I would tell younger people for sure who are pursuing music, is master as many parts of the craft as you possibly can, especially if you're trying to be in the quote unquote music industry as an artist. I thought I was just a vocalist and songwriter at first, but I realized the more you get into it, I mean, I spent a lot of money and time paying for studio time, engineers, mixing, mastering, and those are things that in the past few years, I've really learned how to do myself. Maybe not as well as people that went to school for it, but if you can get a base level of understanding of how to craft a song from scratch without anybody's help, I know I just said collaboration, but in case you don't have the ability to work with others, which is both a financial strain and a time strain, you can get really far if you just know how to do as much as you can from the ground level on your own before you hand it off to other people to help you with stuff. Because it can be really hard to reach out to everybody to work on your song. So yeah, balance it too.
So I have two just brief reactions to some of the things you said, because I was thinking about when I was temping and just piecing things together. I did a lot of data entry where I would enter in addresses and print up labels and send out magazines to people. And they had these old, like really hard plastic computer keyboards, and they gave a really good sound. And so I would just be drumming the whole time and just be like, you know, and if I finish entering like John Smith or something like that, then I'd just go right on the table and just keep my groove going so that I could do it. And I realized that whether or not I'm making money as a drummer or a percussionist, that's still within me, and that's a part of my identity and who I am and what I do. And my income won't define that for me, you know, and so that was a real wake-up call for me to just keep on keeping on with that. And then another thing I was thinking as I was watching each of your works tonight is that it's great to see you all, and I have all these memories of spending time with you, and just that kind of quality of recollections of being with people. But the thing that really opened my eyes to the power of music is that hearing your artwork and where you are musically really reconnected me with each of your personalities, and so it's just really nice to you know, to participate in seeing how you've grown as individuals through your music since college. So so it's a real treat to share that with you all tonight. Okay, so we'll wrap things up since we've hit the magic hour. Once again, thanks to everybody for sharing our inaugural Music Alumni Showcase, and special thanks to Alex Fishbein, Helder Mira, and the Trinity Department of Alumni Relations, as well as Nicole Mudagraves for helping to get this whole thing going. A video of tonight's event will be available on the Austin Arts Center Facebook page. And if you're interested in possibly participating in a future event, or if you want to reach us, send an email to music-alumni@trincol.edu. Thanks, and have a great evening.